Gala is like the Oscars. You dress up fancy in a bow tie, in a tuxedo, and the gals are all dressed up with the hairdos and the nice dresses. It's a big deal.
Their story gets published and their artwork gets published, and they have this gala book signing event, which is like the snazziest book signing that they're ever going to do. It's amazing the track record this contest has. That so many of the new writer winners and the new illustrator winners get their first moment in the sun.
Welcome to Self-Publishing Insiders with Draft to Digital. I'm Mark Leslie Lefebvre. I have with me in the virtual studios from the other side of the continent, Emily Goodwin. Emily, welcome to Draft to Digital Insiders.
Hi, Mark. Thank you. Great to be here. Great to be back with you. It's been a few years.
Yeah, it's been a little while, and it's been just a couple of weeks since we were hanging out at that gala that we just showed. I thought we'd play a little bit of a clip to give people an idea of I guess the end of the full year of what happens with Writers of the Future. But before we get started in talking about short fiction and supporting writers and supporting illustrators, Emily Goodwin, so what is the role that you play with Author Services and Galaxy Press?
So I'm the Vice President for Public Affairs for Author Services and Galaxy Press. And, I handle the Writers of the Future contest in my area. And that's the main thing we're talking about. I work with authors all year long. And I also produce the Writers of the Future event, that little clip that you just saw, and also the online workshop. And I set up all the events for the year. I work with the Writers of the Future winners and, handle their media and their book signings and events and so forth. So I got my hands full.
And I've seen you at many events. You've been at Superstars Writing Seminars. I've seen you at Salt Lake Fan X, even in Canada. Writers of the Future is often here at the Fan Expo in Toronto. You're going to be with the good folks of the IBPA in a couple of weeks. Yeah,
mid-May we'll be at the IBPA conference. I think that's up in Portland. Yeah.
Awesome. So it's kind of outreach in that. And I guess, so writers are often interested in what they can do with their short fiction. And I think Writers of the Future has a really good option for them, right?
Yes, please. If you do short fiction in anything speculative fiction, science fiction, fantasy, light horror, it's really PG-13. So, if you could clean up your stories a little bit, please send them to Writers of the Future, writersofthefuture.com. We have a contest that we run every year. It's been going for 42 years. We're right now on the 43rd year. And we publish 12 new authors and 12 illustrators every year in short fiction. It's up to 17,000 words. So that is up really like a novella. But we get, it's a quarterly contest. So 4 quarters out of the year, people can submit their stories. It's free to enter. You maintain the rights to your work. The judges of the contest are all big names in the field, such as Kevin J. Anderson, Orson Scott Card, Tim Powers, Larry Niven, Brandon Sanderson, Hugh Howey, Mark Leslie.
Who is that guy?
That guy. Yeah. So your stories get seen by an amazing panel of judges, and Jody Lynn and I. So there's really nothing to lose and everything to gain. You just really should, if you have a short story, send it in. The whole judging process is done blind. So nobody's actually seeing your name. The names come off, a number gets put on, and that's what goes to the judges. So even if you're self-conscious about your story, and they won't even know it's you. So just send it in.
Awesome. I love that. And so let's dig into this just a little bit more. So it's quarterly contest. So there's 4 obviously, yeah, I can do math. There's 4 quarters in a year. I understand what
Yes.
quarter means. But this quarter, for example, it's open right now. So if somebody does have an eligible story, and I'll get into eligibility in just a second, they have until June.
Yeah, the end of June is the next quarterly deadline. And then after that, it's the end of September and then the end of the year.
Okay.
So yeah, and you can, if you forget or you have questions, go to writersthefuture.com. The rules
Okay.
are right there, and you can see the quarterly deadlines. But it's pretty simple. Next one, you've got 2 months. Get it in.
Awesome. And so this is for writers who haven't earned a pro yet. So for example, if you've earned a specific amount of money as a writer, whether it's with a publisher, selling your short fiction to markets, or even having done it yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's 3 short stories or a novel, and it's pro rates, so which is deemed 8 cents a word right now. And or if you're self-publishing, if you're putting it online, let's say you have your stories, you put them up on Amazon, it would be up to 5,000 sales or hits on that story. So that's still very wide open, what we're considering an amateur. So,
right.
And if you have any other questions about it, you can find the rules at writersofthefuture.com. Or if you get the anthology, it's in the back of all the Writers of the Future anthologies. I just thought I'd have to show that one. This is the new one. No plug, no product placement. Here we go.
No, not at all. Not on both sides.
Brillo.
I got mine signed by all of the illustrators and authors, so I'm so
that's
excited. This is a very
fantastic.
special copy. So there's a question. There's a question from Brenda I want to pop up. So Brenda's asking, are these never been published stories? So let's say they have published it, but they haven't received pro rates. Is it still eligible? If they've self-published that story, is it still eligible?
No, we're looking for new content. So
Okay.
Just write a new story. That's one of the things also about writing, and you're going to hear every author who's published a lot will tell you, writers write, you just keep writing. We have people that submit every single quarter to the contest, and the benefit of that is it gives you a deadline. It gives you something to work towards, and the more you write, the better you're going to get. So just write a new story. If it's already been published, write a new one and send it in.
Oh, cool. And I love that idea, because even if you, and again, as a writer, before I pro'd out, as the term goes, I had submitted early on to the contest, and I had not won, had not made it as a finalist or whatever, but I still had short fiction that I'd written, like just 4 stories in a year, which means I might be able to send them to other markets. I guess short fiction's a viable market for writers?
I mean, you're going to have to pump out a lot of short fiction to have it if you're quitting your day job. But yes. And also, not everybody's paying the pro rates on that. So, and if you're putting it up yourself on Amazon, well, you're going to have to be really good. You're going to have to go like Hugh Howey route type of thing and get movie deals with it. But yes,
yeah, of course.
you can.
Awesome. And just to confirm, so Beth asks, are these science fiction genre only?
Okay, so it's science fiction, it's fantasy, it's light horror. It has to have a speculative fiction element. So if there's some sort of speculative fiction element, then you can send it in. But make sure, I highly recommend, if you're sending in a story, because it is sci-fi fantasy, that is the genre of this contest. And the book itself, it is, as you can see, the dragons on the front, it is sci-fi fantasy. So,
yeah.
And you're going to want to make sure in the first few pages of your story, at least ideally the first page, that you see some sort of speculative fiction element, so that the judges, when they see it, they do know that it is within the genre that we're looking for.
And I can attest to the fact, as one of the judges, we get the submissions, through Jody and her team. Jody's the head writer judge, and on the other side, we've got Echo Chernick, who's the head illustrator judge, doing the same sort of thing with illustrators. But we get the stories, and we get the title of the story and the story. And I'm old school, so I print them off. I sit in a nice comfy chair. I read the submissions. I have no idea who wrote them. So when we get to LA in the spring and meet the writers, I have no idea who wrote what. So it's like, oh, you wrote that story. So it's really a fun thing to put the name to the face. But there's also a process that happens with the winners the writer winners and the illustrator winners, because the illustrators get to do something really special with the stories, right?
Yes. So every quarter there are 3 winners. In the writing contest, you have a first, second, third place winner. And on the illustrator side, there's also 3 winners. And at the end of the year, you have the 12 writer winners and 12 illustrator winners. And each of the illustrators get hired by Galaxy Press to illustrate one of the winning stories in the book. And so they create a piece. The writer doesn't know who the illustrator is, or they don't see it until they come to LA. And so the illustrators do the illustration for the piece, and that's what they actually get judged on for a big final grand prize winner. Because there's one at the end of the year, there's a big grand prize winner and a grand prize illustrator. I mean, they're all winners, but there's one final big award that gets given out in Hollywood at the end of the year. But it's a really amazing moment. So the pieces of art in the book are actually pieces that were created by the illustrators that go with the winning stories.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's pretty, oh yeah, I like this one.
As we show them all off.
Triceratops effect. Awesome. So yeah. So each story has a full piece of art that goes with it, and black and white. And when somebody wins the contest, we didn't really get into that too much yet, but we actually fly you out to Hollywood for a week-long workshop with the judges, and that's a whole boot camp in itself. It's morning to night workshops, learning about the craft, the business. There, we've got Orson Scott Card and Larry Niven teaching at the workshop, and you hear from all of these guys, and it's kind of once you, oh look, there's Mark teaching at the workshop. Yeah. So it's a whole week-long workshop that happens in Hollywood. And at the end of the week, we go to the big gala event. Everybody goes on stage. There's a whole red carpet and big ceremony where we see and hear from the winners, the quarterly winners. And then there's Michael Quester. He was the grand prize writer winner this year. And Bafu, the grand prize illustrator winner. Yeah. So, but there's a big art reveal also that happens in the middle of the week where the writers haven't seen their art yet. That goes in the book. And so we have them all up on easels around the room, and the illustrators are sort of standing in the back, and the writers all walk in and sort of look for their pieces. And then when they find them, the illustrator comes out and they meet for the first time. And it's really nice moment in the week. So, it's a lot of activities that happen in that 1 week here in Hollywood.
Yeah, it is amazing. Now I have another clip that I want to play because Writers of the Future and Illustrators of the Future, but Writers of the Future have been running for 42 years, celebrated a pretty significant landmark achievement. And why don't we have Emily from the night of the gala just a couple of weeks ago explain a little bit about that?
Oh.
Here she is.
Release of Volume 42, we are proud to announce that more than 1,000 writers and illustrators have now been published through Writers of the Future. Joining us tonight is a special guest from an organization whose mission closely aligns with that of Writers and Illustrators of the Future. The Independent Book Publishers Association was founded the same year as Writers of the Future, and both organizations have grown and evolved over the past 4 decades. The head of this organization has been a steadfast advocate for independent publishing. With prior leadership roles at HarperCollins, Workman Publishing, and Ingram Content Group, she now leads the IBPA in building a vibrant and thriving publishing community. She is committed to fostering a more diverse and equitable publishing ecosystem and to protecting the freedom to read. To present a special recognition, please welcome the Chief Executive Officer of the Independent Book Publishing Association, Miss Andrea Fleck Nisbet.
I would like to congratulate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future contests for providing a platform to more than 1,000 new voices in our industry. This dedication to discovering and publishing emerging talent reflects the ongoing core values of IBPA, which is committed to authentically serving and supporting those in this industry through advocacy, education, and tools for success. The artist injects the spirit of life into a culture. What began as a single idea has grown into a global community, and that champions new voices, bold ideas, and the enduring power of storytelling.
So there we go. Amazing introduction. And so some comments from Lexi. It's so cool to see a writing event with this such glitz and glamour. And Ghost Crayon says, this is making me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Isn't that what books do?
Yes, that's the idea. I mean, we really pour on the coals. Some people say, well, right after that big glitzy event, we had a massive book signing where they signed for hours. People that attended that event came for their autographs. And what I love, which is amazing, is here you have these brand new authors and they're doing their signing after that big event. And you have people like Orson Scott Card and Kevin J. Anderson and Larry Niven walking up to the author who's just being professionally published for the first time, asking for their autograph. And the author's like, oh my gosh, what am I even doing here? It's amazing. But we love to be able to provide that experience. We're able to provide that because 43 years ago, L. Ron Hubbard, who wrote science fiction at that, he wrote a lot of sci-fi, got together with his friends. It was Algis Budrys, Frank Herbert, and a bunch of the guys, and he started this contest, and he was funding it. And then after he passed away, he left behind so that the estate, the royalties from the fiction books, would continue paying for it. So here at Author Services, all we have to do is just continue putting it on, and we have the resources to do this. And so we're able to keep putting out in the world new fiction and finding new authors. And it's really to give a voice for somebody who doesn't otherwise have a voice. A lot of times in the industry, it's like who you know and, what connections you have. And there's some people that live out in the farm and they don't have any connections. And, all they have to do is have internet connection, write a story and submit it. And they can get in and get published and get flown to Hollywood and meet all these people and get all this networking and meet agents and editors and so forth. And that's why it's a blind judge contest, so that it really creates a level playing field and everybody has a chance. So I recommend it, and not just because I work here, but I remember 30 years ago, I came through Author Services and I was touring this room that I'm in right now, which is the Writers of the Future Lounge. And I saw everything that was happening and all the people that had their careers launched by it. And I was so moved, I was like crying. And then 10 years later, I was here working here. And been doing this for 20 years. So I just find it to be amazing.
I remember in 2014 when I was invited to be a guest speaker like Andrea was, and I was working at Kobo at the time, and I had gift Kobos for the winners, the writer winners, which is exciting. But I remember that library that you're in, that beautiful lounge, a gorgeous wood panel lounge. You've got photos of all of the judges, the artists and writer judges. You've got books from winners and judges, and oh my God, it's just this lounge is heaven on earth, actually.
Yes. Look right here where I'm pointing. There's a picture of you.
There's a bald Canadian on the wall. Actually, well, there's two bald Canadian judges, right? You got Robert J. Sawyer as well. Well, there's all the.
So all of these walls over here, I don't know, you can't really see it.
Yeah.
But you see the shelves it goes all the way around.
Yeah.
That's all the way across there. There's thousands of books from our judges and winners on the walls over there that they have gone on to publish after winning the contest. So, I can come in here anytime and pull a lounge tour. Yes. I should give you the full lounge tour here. But yeah, like all across the room, there's there's a wall of 6 shelves, and all books from judges and winners. And there's art books down on that end over there. We have art books, and Sean Tan, he was an illustrator winner. He went on to win an Academy Award for his short animated film. And so, and the winners have gone on to do 41 New York Times bestsellers. So we're very proud of the people that have entered and won. And some people have pro'd out, like Robert J. Sawyer. He was entering the contest. He pro'd out. Brandon Sanderson pro'd out. You pro'd out. But a lot of those guys go on to become judges. So Kevin J. Anderson entered 25 times. And he was saying that he entered every quarter because it gave him a deadline. He just got better and better and better until finally he had too many pro sales that he couldn't enter anymore. And then when he finally showed up here in Hollywood, and he was like, I finally get to be in the workshop at Writers of the Future. It was as a judge, but he was very happy to be there. And I remember when Sanderson showed up and got on stage, and he's like, they finally let me on stage at Writers of the Future. He was as a judge, but it was fun.
I had a similar experience to that.
Yeah.
So just to, I know we shared this earlier, but Beth says, is there a website that has the full details of the contest?
Yes, that's writersofthefuture.com. And that's like your one-stop shop for everything. There's things there that we haven't even talked about yet, but you can enter the contest there. There's all the blogs for Writers of the Future there. In fact, if you want to go see behind the scenes, like what was happening every day during the workshops, there's blogs from every single day with photos. A couple of past winners came in, covered the day-to-day activities that were happening with photos, so you can really see what it was like. There's a forum there, so we have a Writers of the Future forum. You can go there. You can get advice from past winners, and sometimes judges come in there for AMAs. We also have the podcast for the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast. You can find that there. And there's a free online writing workshop, which is an amazing resource because, you have the glitzy gala and so forth and the publishing, but a lot of the writers that are entering Writers of the Future want to get into that workshop and be taught by those leading professionals in the field. And a few years back, we took a few of them and brought them out to Hollywood of the judges and then recorded some workshop videos with them. And we put that online. And so that's a free online workshop. And it has some of the basics that they learn here in Hollywood. And that one is taught by Orson Scott Card, the late David Farland, and Tim Powers. And then we recently added a few videos from Nedia Corafor and Kevin J. Anderson and Robert J. Sawyer. And then we have another video about to go up on from Jody Lynn Nye. So there's a lot to learn there. And then there's some essays on there from L. Ron Hubbard and Algis Budrys. And there's some practical assignments. And it really takes you through everything about writing a short story or even novel it applies to. And that it's not genre specific. You can actually just take that class if you want to learn how to write. And it teaches you everything from doing your research to writing the beginning, the middle, the end, writing dialogue, narration, how to write suspense, so how to write comedy. So just head over there and check that out.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for that. And just a few more questions that have popped up from our audience here. So Peter asks, does self-publish to Substack or similar to a website, does that count as published?
Yes, it does. But are you getting over 5,000 sales or hits to your story? That's a question.
Okay. So if I published a short story and I put it on Substack or my blog or somewhere else like that, does that disqualify me from submitting that to the contest?
Submitting, if it's on your own website and you wrote the story, no, you don't. We want unpublished stories. We want new content at Writers of the Future.
So that would be considered published because it was available because you want original material that is kind of like, hey, this is the best of science fiction fantasy this year, that kind of thing. Okay.
Yes, and also Jody Lynn Nye, she is the coordinating judge, and all of the stories make it through Jody Lynn Nye, and she is so well read. I don't know how that woman has that much time to read that many stories, but somehow she has got to be one of the most well-read people I have met. And someone will submit a story and she'll be like, that sounds like, and it was published in some little obscure magazine somewhere. And she's like, no, I've heard it before. I read that somewhere. So definitely looking for new content and new ideas. New ideas is important. You can take a twist on a earlier story, but it's got to be a fresh idea. Okay, cool. And James asks, concerning writing short fiction, what about compilations? I think this is probably not a compilation, but a single story, right? Yes, it's a single story.
Okay. Now, Beth asks this question: would cozy fantasy fit in the speculative fiction realm?
Yeah. I think
because it's combining mystery with fantasy elements, right?
Yes, and I think we've been seeing more and more of that recently.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I love that merger of different genres.
Yeah.
So, Layla says short fiction feels like a great supplement to longer main works. I love getting short stories for worlds I'm already invested in. So maybe if you've written a novel, right, and you've self-published or had this published with a publisher, and you've written a novel, but you have a story in that universe you want to share, that could be a great opportunity, right?
For sure. Also, if you have written a novel and have not published it, you could go the Patrick Rothfuss route, which was he had his Name of the Wind, and he took one chapter and he turned that chapter into a short story because he had been shopping it around and wasn't getting
Right.
any pull on that, and so he made it into a short story, submitted that, won with that, and then the novel, and then he got a 3-novel deal.
Oh, that is fantastic. And so one of the reasons you'd mentioned that, I'm just going to bring up the fact that PG-13 or whatever, so for people under 18, and that's because this book is often used by school libraries, and right, because it's a great way to understand what's coming up in science fiction and fantasy, right? So you want the stories to be family friendly.
Yes, we do. We want it to be PG-13. They do get used in schools, and we have a lot of young adults also that enter the contest. So we have a lot of classes that are using the books and reading the books. So yes, we do want to keep it PG-13. If you have a story that's a little risque, you can edit it to submit it here. And the competition, you keep the rights to your work, so you can submit it elsewhere after that and put whatever else back into it you want. But when we publish it, it's going to be PG-13.
Yeah, I love that. And so Guillaume says, whoops, mine's for over 18, most taboo erotica. Ooh, I guess that would not be published. So lots of violence. So probably not, right, in a case like that.
Erotica? No, that's not going to make it too far past our judges.
A little bit too far there.
Yeah, on the sex, there's definitely hints of it. There's, we don't see what's happening behind the closed doors. On the violence, there is violence in the stories, but it isn't super graphic. So it's not that there is no sex or violence or profanity, but it's usually behind a closed door, and I don't know. I say there's the violence is not super graphic, but I did see that story in volume 42 with the serial killer. That was pretty intense. So I guess if it's too graphic, the editor might ask you to tone it down a bit. If it's a really great story.
Exactly.
You tone it down before you send it so it doesn't get rejected because it's just too over the top.
Too violent. Yeah, so I avoided sending some of my darker horror stories in when I was doing that. That's just, I think I need to start working on a short story. So and then again, Peter's like, I guess let's out my quasi-military sci-fi, but I think military sci-fi, I guess, so long as the violence isn't too graphic, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, the best way to see what kind of stories are winning is to just read one of the anthologies. Like this one just literally came out 2 days ago.
And that's available in the US and Canada right now. It's available in paperback. It's available in ebook. It's available in audiobook too, right?
That's right. Yes. The audiobook for this one is fantastic. Obviously, the book is amazing, and you get the art and everything and the stories. And I don't know if you're like me, you like having a book in your hand, but sometimes it's easier to have an ebook. But the audiobook is also amazing. And the 2-time Grammy Award winner, Stefan Rudnicki, he produced the audiobook for this. And there are 8 narrators on the audiobook, and it is fantastic. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but from so far, it just is amazing.
Yeah, and it is available everywhere. I mean, this is going to be available in chain bookshops, in independent bookshops. I mean, if you're published in Writers of the Future, your story is going to be available. I mean, in significant amount of places, both online as well as in retail locations. I mean, I remember last year with one of the winners, Patrick, who lives not too far from me in Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did a joint book signing. It was so cool. I mean, he did the big gala, obviously, in Hollywood, but it was so cool to see him at a Kohl's in a mall in Hamilton, Ontario, and he works in the education industry. So his coworkers were able to come up and shake his hand and buy a copy of the Writers of the Future that he signed for them, and it was just so cool to see that interaction in a store. And that's the other thing that Galaxy Press and Writers of the Future does is you really help these writers by coaching them and working with bookstores to get events in their local area, right?
Yes, that's right. Patrick McPhee, he was great. And, he's Canadian, and I'm from Canada, so I'm always rooting for the Canadian winners. But yeah, so yes, nice. You'll have to send me one.
Yes.
So yeah, but once you win the contest and you come out and you go to that big fancy gala event and you sign a whole bunch of books here in LA, it doesn't end there. We send you out when you go home. We help book media for you, and we help set you up with book signing events. And we also, when we do conventions, we invite past winners and judges to come sign at the Galaxy Press booth. So I think at DragonCon, we had 14 judges and winners signing books at the booth. And then you were with us at FanX. I think we had 11 winners and like a couple judges there signing books. So, and also, we let you bring in your own titles as well and sell them. And everybody keeps 100% of their sales because we're not there to be making money off you. We're just there to help launch careers. Which is absolutely amazing. So a few other comments and questions coming up. Beth says, well, 17,000 sounds novelette enough for a whole arc. So somebody who's not written, really short fiction this is a great way to say, okay, I've never written less than a novel. It's like, how do I do this? That could be a great opportunity. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think there's kind of a sweet spot between like 5,000 and 10,000 words, but there was a joke from this year because you get, in addition to the prize money, which is anywhere between 500 to 1,000 for second, third place. You also, when we publish you in the Writers of the Future, you get paid pro rates, 8 cents a word. So sometimes people, we call it their word stuffing, to try and get their word level up higher to get the bigger check for and one of the winners this year has I just have to read this. This is too funny. His title, all the other winners were making jokes about his title, saying that he was just trying to get paid more because the title of the first story is Form 14B, Application for Certification of Consciousness Transfer Post-Mortem. And the other winners were like, you were just trying to get a bigger paycheck. And I remember when I read that story, which I loved. When I read the story, I remember thinking, James Allen Gardner, Canadian writer that actually lives in the same city that I live in. He had published short fiction with really long titles like that. And I was like, does Jim have like a younger brother or something who hasn't published? Because this title is very James Allen Gardner. Yes. Yeah, or in volume 35, there was Wolf Moon with the super duper moon girl and the amazing moon dawdler. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Wolf. Yes. And he was a winner one of the years as well. Yeah, that's right. So. Yeah, volume 35. Cool. And it's funny because, like I said, it's all blind judged. And I remember David Farland, he really liked that story. And I remember when he says, oh, I can't wait to meet the young lady who wrote it. And it turned out to be Wolf Moon, who's definitely not a young lady. Because you don't know. Yeah, I have no idea who it is who wrote it. So, question, Sandy asks this question, speaking of Canadian authors, Sandy asks this question, how many rounds of judging does each story go through before winners are selected? Well, that's a good question. Okay, so there are some first readers that when you submit a story, it goes to a panel of first readers. But they're not really, they're looking more for, is there a speculative fiction element? Is it just completely full of typos on the first page? They're just weeding out like somebody who submits poetry, and that obviously is not what this book is. So they're just weeding those out. The top, 50% after that go to Jody Lynn Nye, who's the coordinating judge. She reads all of them, and she'll say, okay, this is a good story. This is going to be an honorable mention. This one is a great story. It's going to be a silver honorable mention. And she whittles it down to finalists. Those finalists then go to a panel of judges of the main panel where you have, like I mentioned them earlier, Kevin and you and Larry Niven and Tim Powers and all the other judges. So we'll go to another panel of judges. At the end of the year, all the final first place stories go to all of the judges to decide who the grand prize is. So that's kind of how that judging process works. If you really want a lot of detail on how that all works, there's a podcast with all the first readers and Jody Lynn Nye at writersoffuture.com. It's you can find it in there. It's just called the First Readers Podcast, in the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast, which you can get all the details on it and what exactly they're looking for and what might get a story rejected. So it's worthwhile listening to that.
And I have to say, I love the integrity of that blind judging, because I remember it was a few years ago, one of the judges, Brandon Sanderson, who coaches a lot of writers and does workshops and stuff like that. Brandon had received a blind submission story, and he recognized a story he had ended up helping someone with. So he had to recuse himself completely from the contest because he knew who it was. And that integrity speaks volumes to the people at Galaxy Press and all of that, the entire amazing team at Writers of the Future and Author Services, as well as the judges, because we really want it to be blind submissions. Like, I know who this is. I can't be involved anymore because I'm not unbiased any longer, right?
Absolutely. That's happened a couple times. Happened with Brandon, happened with Kevin. And it's amazing, that it is able to work like that. And I think Dean Wesley Smith has even had that where because, to be a Writers of Future judge, you don't just have to be a great writer and a successful writer. You actually have to have the quality of wanting to pay it forward and wanting to help bring up that new voices for the year and just help new authors and give a helping hand. And so it's a certain quality of person, like there's some amazing best-selling authors out there that are not judges. And I've spoken to them and they were like, well, I don't really like teaching. And it's like, okay, good. Do your thing. And we'll find ones that like to teach. So, the group that we have really is a blue ribbon panel of judges. And it's, just an amazing group.
It is amazing. And the week spent with the winners in Los Angeles is so amazing, coming in and talking to them. I tend to focus on helping them understand the business, because one of the things I like to remind authors is this is unlike any contract you'll ever get from a major publisher, is that the day the book is launched, you have the rights back to the story, so you can, use it yourself. You can publish it for free and make it available as a leader into, hey, if you want more stories, check out this volume. You can do what you want with it, resell it to a reprint market, whatever, which is one of the most generous contracts I've ever seen in publishing land. How do you publishing land?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things that is really amazing about it. People have, they will take their stories and publish them elsewhere. And when you come to Hollywood and you're a winner of the contest, in the middle of the workshop, you write a 24-hour story as well. And a lot of winners have gone on to publish those 24-hour stories. I know you kind of go, how does someone write a story in 24 hours? Well, they do. They all do. And there's a whole workshop that takes you through exactly how to do that. You're fully prepared for it. And they workshop those. So you just have to win to get in on that one.
Yeah, and I love the way Tim and Jody do that, where the random artifact that they pull from a bag, and then they have to go introduce themselves to a stranger and learn something to incorporate. Like, what an amazing process. I want to share a highlight. So one of the things that happens at the gala is all the finalists are brought up on stage. They all have a chance to say their thank you or whatever before you reveal who the grand prize winner is. This ended up being this year's writer grand prize winner, but let's hear from Michael, because his speech was pretty empowering.
Yes.
I'm Mike, and I write science fiction. When Joni called me and told me that I was a finalist, she asked a routine question. What was it like to write this story? I couldn't give her a routine answer. I told her the truth. This story ruined a week of my life. It tore me apart. I was miserable. I was withdrawn. I was grumpy. I started having nightmares. Something I created gave me nightmares. But looking back at it now, I should have known right at that moment that this was something that was going to happen, because those are the stories that need to be told. Those are the stories that go somewhere. The stories that you write that tear you apart, that make you feel something. Because as I've said a lot over this past week, I have found over the years that you have to write what you love and what you care about and what you feel. You can't just force yourself to write something. If you write something that you don't want to write, it will read like it was written at gunpoint. So I wrote this story, and I honestly didn't really like it that much afterwards because of the feelings that I had that I associated with it. But everyone I knew who read it said the same thing. This is the best thing you've ever read. I didn't agree with them. I'm here now. What do I know?
That was such a great speech. Okay. Some more comments as well. I just want to show. So the pay it forward, Sandy says pay it forward is huge in this industry. Being able to commiserate and share knowledge really helps get over that feeling. And then Guillaume says, so whoops, wrong one. Lexi was quoting that. So sometimes when a new comment pops up, I'm hovering over it and I click the wrong one. There you go, a little tech. Guillaume says, for the contest, can I use my same pen name rather than my real name? In all of my fiction, I've been using the same pen name, right? So
you can absolutely use a pen name. When you enter your story, there's actually you have your name, and then there's your email, and then it'll ask if you want a pen name. And even if you don't win with that particular story, we might give you a certificate for like an honorable mention, and we will ask. It'll have your pen name. You want your pen name or your real name? So yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Duke says, I have a 25,000, not dollar, but 25,000 word story that I haven't published. I guess that's too long because it's cut off at 17,000, right?
Yes. If you can figure out how to tighten it up, then you can submit that.
There you go. A little exercise in chopping some of those words off.
Yeah. I recommend going to writersofthefuture.com and taking that free online writing workshop and then revisiting your story and seeing how you can tighten that up.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So another question here more about, I guess, the behind the scenes is, so Layla says, how do you get connected with these career authors? So, you've got your Brandon Sandersons and you've got your Kevin J. Andersons and Larry Nibbons and Orson Scott Cards and Dean Wesley Smiths. How does that happen? I mean, some of them are winners, but.
Right. Well, I think it started before. I've been here for 20 years working on this, and I think before that, even most of these authors know each other, and it's a community. And so I think when Frank Herbert, he was a judge, and then when he passed, his son became a judge, and I think a lot of people know each other. I also
Todd McCaffrey as well, right? Anne McCaffrey's son.
Anne McCaffrey, yeah. Anne McCaffrey was a judge. Now Todd is a judge. It's not like, it's all in the family, but at the Writers of the Future, you do feel like it's a big family.
Well, I mean, especially if your career is writer, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a community, and in the community, most of these people know each other. Also, myself and John Goodwin from President Galaxy Press, we get out a lot. We go to a lot of these convention shows. We meet a lot of these people. Yeah. And you are you asking?
I am the son of Kevin J. Anderson. That's how I got into this.
Exactly.
Oh, and Emily, just a reminder of where people can get access to those free resources for writers. The Writers of the Future podcast, which is John is the host. He is absolute. You're amazing. John's amazing too. You guys are a superpower couple. But John's a great interviewer. I learned from him by listening to that. But you can learn more at writersofthefuture.com?
Yes, if you go to writersofthefuture.com, that's really your one-stop shop for finding everything about Writers of the Future. You can find the podcast there, the free online workshop, the forum, the blog. There's a press room there. There's essays on writing there. There's all kinds of stuff. You can see any of the past events there. You can find out about any of the anthologies. In fact, you should go there and you should get the latest anthology. But yeah, that's the place that you should go to find out all about it. And there's also a Writers of the Future YouTube channel if you want to, you saw a little couple clips today from the event that we just had, so you can watch the whole thing at the Writers and Illustrators of the Future YouTube channel.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emily, as my doctor's office calls me.
Oh.
So, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I want to thank everyone for their amazing comments in conversation. This is a great community. Love that. Be sure, don't miss every week at 1 p.m. Eastern. We do these bookmark d2dlive.com. If you have not, you can sign up for an account to get your works published through draft2digital.com and use so many of our amazing tools to help get your book made and out into the world, into the universe. You can do that over at draft2digital.com. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe so you don't miss amazing guests like Emily. And Emily, thanks again for hanging out with me here today.
Thanks so much for having me, Mark. Good to see you again.
Ebooks are great, but there's nothing quite like holding your own print book in your hand. It's a beautiful celebration of your writing accomplishment. That's why we've created D2D Print, a convenient and easy print-on-demand service built to make it easy for you. We've got more than 20 beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your book cover into a machine-perfect full wraparound cover for print. Yet another convenient option for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draft2digital.com.